think it was shoes off, jacket off, not all clothes off, right? Sorry, glasses off,
Yes.
and just like a full body kind of slow scan.
These two players haven't met over the board since 2022. Haven't met in any format outside of Title Tuesday, I think,
Yeah,
since
it's
2022.
true.
So
Unless you count the one move game that they played.
welcome back, everybody, to another C Squared podcast episode. In today's episode, we have a lot of things to talk about because a lot of exciting things are about to happen. One of them is obviously the Speed Chess Championship matches that are about to be played tomorrow, the semifinals, and following that, the finals during the weekend. And of course, the Chess Olympiad, an event that happens every 2 years, comprising of the best national teams in the world. So those are the two main topics that we have of discussion for you guys today. Fabiano, how are you? Where are you? What have you been up to since the last time we chatted?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm just getting ready for the Olympiad that's coming up, and yeah, everything's good. I mean, it's a short break in between two tournaments, right? It's about 10 days, and looking forward to the event tomorrow. That should be fun.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that one, and also, it'll be good to play again. The Olympiad is a really fun event, I think, and it's like one of those unique opportunities for uh basically the best players in every country, pretty much. Almost every country is represented to play. And it's I mean, it doesn't happen often, yeah? As you mentioned, every 2 years, right?
It's
And
the
it's very
most
prestigious.
prestigious, of course.
Yeah, yeah, it's very prestigious. Everyone wants to potentially get a medal. Not just the team medal, that's a big one, of course, but also individual medals are are a big goal for a lot of people. And yeah, it's a team competition. All the countries are trying to show that they're the best. Although there are, of course, some exceptions in the last 2 years. I mean, notably, Russia is not represented, and but besides that, all the best countries in the world are playing. And yeah, it's an exciting tournament.
Yeah, and to be honest, right now, Russia definitely needs to rebuild. Most likely, I would assume they're going to be, we'll see whether they're going to be welcomed in the next Olympiad, but my guess is that they will be. Nevertheless, they do need to rebuild. I think it was for the first time that Russia had only one player over 2,700 in like forever. I think that was Nepo. Obviously, a lot of people have changed federations, and yeah, they need to rebuild right now. They have some promising talent, but definitely will be a force to be reckoned with in future Olympiads. But let's talk. Let's start with the Speed Chess Championship. Why don't we start there since it's coming up tomorrow? Obviously, the semifinals, big matches. Magnus versus Neiman. Everybody's eyes are on that, and of course, another big clash is Alireza versus Hikaru. They have some history. Um, what's your take? We sort of discussed it a couple of episodes ago, I think, as in we gave some percentages for chances. But as we get closer to the event, what's your take on it? What's your read on it? Let's start with Alireza versus Hikaru. What's your read on that match?
Yeah, I would say around. I mean, it's a bit lazy to say, but around 50-50. I don't think I would give Hikaru much of an edge. Like maybe in bullet, but I don't know in bullet even if he really has an edge. I mean, Alireza is very good, and he's been in shape. I said this last time, right? He's been in good shape recently. So yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised at all that Alireza wins that match.
Yes, that's my read as well. I would say Ali Reza is a slight favorite. It sounds kind of crazy to say that for a match against Hikaru. There's very few people that have beat Hikaru in a match. I think Ali Reza is one of them. But yeah, definitely that one is going to be fun to follow. I would say 55-45 for Alireza, just for the simple fact that he has the momentum. I would say Hikaru still has the edge in bullet, but it's close. At the same time, I think that's going to be matched at least by the momentum that Alireza has behind him. I think, especially when you're young, you draw a lot of inspiration and you draw a lot of motivation from good results. I feel as you get older and more experienced, you kind of start balancing things out a little bit better, so you don't get as tilted whenever you lose, but you also, I would say, not get as much motivation from good results. I think when you're young, you have that extra layer of motivation whenever you do well in tournaments, and I think that's what Alireza is bringing to the table.
Well, he's okay. The thing is, it's a 1 day thing, right? I mean, okay, there is the match, the final, or fight for a third, but the first match is just a 1 day thing,
Mm-hmm.
and it's very dependent on form on that particular day. So, I mean, whatever form may mean. So things could look very one-sided one way or another, and people might say it's because one or the other side is a favorite. Okay. But the truth is that it's going to be very often down to some details, and yeah, maybe someone's just not feeling good that day, for example, right? So
You actually are one of the very few people in the world that have played under that atmosphere. You played the 2019 Pro Chess League finals in this type of setup, playing over PCs, having a crowd, and facing your opponent face to face, but not playing over the board. What are some elements that some people might not be aware of when that happens? Like, do you hear anybody through the headset? Because
not
during
really.
the Pro Chess League there were like people screaming, and whenever something was happening, were you drawing any hints from the crowd at all, or is that not
No, no, I didn't
something
hear
that?
anything. Well, to start with, we had some like music on, so, which sounds strange, but we had music through the headphones. So otherwise, we might have heard the maybe commentary or something. Okay, things were taken a bit less seriously back then. It was, I mean, it was kind of a serious event, but also there wasn't much money. It was one of those more of like fun exhibition type events. And yeah, I would say that maybe Hikaru has a bit more experience because he actually played the what was it called? The chess global championship, I
Yes,
think.
yes.
And that was he lost to Wesley
But
in
Alireza
the
was there
semifinal.
also, wasn't he?
No, no, what Alireza was not. Magnus was not.
Oh, never mind. I'm talking about the
Hikaru was the
champion
only
chess
one.
tour. I'm
Hans was not. This
Yes.
is actually the famous one, right? It was 2022.
Yes,
So it was a famous one that Hans was supposed to be in, right? So, I think he was supposed to be in it. I think he qualified,
he did
but
qualify.
but
Yes.
pretty yeah. So but he didn't play, as we know. Wesley played Nihal in the finals. I was there not as a player but as a commentator, and Wesley beat Hikaru in the semifinals.
Hmm.
So Hikaru will have some experience. I don't know if Magnus has done. No, Magnus has. He played in. Actually, they all have. No, now that I think about it, because they played this final of the FTX Cup, thing in Florida, the one
Yes.
before the Singfield Cup. So Magnus actually played Hans there, and Alireza should have also been there, but it's not immediately coming to mind if he was.
I I do think he was. Yes, yes, he
I
was
think he was,
definitely
yeah.
there. He was definitely there because he went to Miami. He did quite well, and then he came to. He might have even won that tournament. Um,
No, 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 no.
did Magnus win that?
Well, Magnus won like the whole tour, so did he? I think he probably also won the individual one.
I know
Anyway, that
Ali Reza was in Miami and he did very well because we were discussing kind of his trip to the US and how he collected pretty much in every tournament that he played in.
well, the we were talking more about the Singfield Cup, the St. Louis Rapid and Blitz, and the Grand Chess Tour and all that. Which again, we've spoken about that
Yeah,
Singfield Cup
yeah,
more than once.
yeah.
But yeah, so all the players have tried the hybrid stuff, and I mean it's not that much different, right? You're the only real difference is you're not at home, which is a different atmosphere. Like you're not alone at home.
Yeah.
With even I think for some of the matches they were proctored. Like Hikaru and Jan were being proctored for the Speed Chess Championship, the quarterfinal match, and Hans versus both Wesley and Maxime were proctored. I
Mhm.
believe on both sides, all the players were proctored, so they weren't like completely alone, but it's a different atmosphere. And yeah, anyway, this is a kind of a minor detail, right? But it's not going to change much that they're playing uh, from let's say a location with a live audience compared to a location without a live audience.
Yeah, no. But I do think that definitely the interest has expanded. I remember we had an atmosphere at the 2019 Pro Chess League. I think there's going to be even more of an excited fan base in Paris. I see a lot of Reddit posts already. I'm hearing that the VIP tickets, which go for as high as $1,500, have been sold out. So definitely there's interest in the match for good reason. And I think you're going to see the players being asked for interviews, for autographs. There's going to be some fan pressure as well. There's meet and greet for the VIPs with the players. And on top of that, I think something that's going to be, and it has been the case for most of the events in recent years, will be fair play scans, which are going to take about 15 minutes. I'm looking at the official schedule right now. The fair play scans for each player is going to take around 15 minutes. You've done some of that at the Champions Chess Tour finals.
Mm-hmm.
How intrusive is that? How intrusive are the
I
fair
mean,
play checks? Without
not
giving too
as
many details, because we don't want to.
yeah, not as intrusive as they can be, I guess. But yeah, I'll just say what I the process was for our tournament. They used a normal metal detector and also what's called a nonlinear junction detector. And well, there was one guy I think who was in charge of this. I think it was shoes off, jacket off, not all clothes off, right? Their glasses off,
Yes.
and just like a full body kind of um, slow scan.
Very cool.
So
Very cool. So
yeah,
pretty
it's
thorough.
not nothing too dramatic, but it does take about 15 minutes. Sounds excessive. I think it was about 5 minutes that we were doing it, but 5 minutes is quite a lot, I guess, for a scan. I don't know. Maybe at some day we'll be going through these like airport detectors, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Those, I guess, will pick up anything. But for now, yeah, this is probably a pretty secure scan. And I don't know about like other security measures they have. Maybe they have a delay, but I'm not sure if that's the case. I mean, with a live audience, it kind of you can't really have a delay, right? Because anyway, there's a live audience. There's people in the audience who are seeing it. That's what I assume, right? That the audience has seen it live.
Yes. Yes. There should be a live
They're
audience.
selling
The
tickets,
audience
yeah.
will be. They're selling serious tickets. Yes. But I don't think there's probably going to be a means of communication. My guess is that the live audience will be proctored as well, as in they're not going to be able to use their phones, things of that nature.
That
And
would
maybe there's
be
going to be
a
like
wise
a,
choice.
and maybe there's going to be like a blocking um, wall between the players and the audience. I don't know. This is just all
I
speculation.
mean, it has nothing to do with like if you think someone is trying to cheat or not. It's just that you want to ensure that there's no possibility in every tournament. So it's just a good idea to do it. And then you also can't have the like complaints, right? Or like the insinuations that sometimes come up every now and then, or the backdoors talk. So you just make sure that there's no possibility. Then
Cool.
then there's nothing to really discuss. So okay, hopefully they have everything like that under control. And yeah, and then they'll see two matches, and the winner will play a final. The winners will play a final. The losers will play a match with third place, third, fourth place, which nobody will care about.
I think people will care about those
You know,
third
yeah, of
place
course.
matches as well.
I mean, the players are interesting, so people will care. But of course, nobody really sees much of a difference between third and fourth place. Although it is like you're going to be beating one of the like potentially best players in the world, a very strong player for third place. So it's still not easy to get third place. I mean, you're still scoring 1-1. Like you can get second place with 1-1 or third place, but it's basically the same result.
Completely agree. Yes. No, I definitely think there's going to be some interest in that. Cool. So you're putting Hikaru and Alireza at around 50-50. I'm giving a slight edge to Alireza, let's say 55-45, but definitely going to be a very close matchup. And that's the first match that the viewers are going to see. That's happening tomorrow, according to the time that we record this
They're
one.
both happening tomorrow.
Yes. Tomorrow at 3 p.m. is the player arrival. I'm just going through the schedule right now. It's actually at 4 p.m. The first semifinal starts. That's Paris time, Paris local time, 4 p.m. And then the second semifinal, the one between Magnus and Hans, starts at 8:30 Paris time. So quite late. Let's talk about that semifinal. Obviously, everybody's interested in that. These two players haven't met over the board since 2022. Haven't met in any format outside of Title Tuesday, I think, since 2022. So
unless you count the one move game that they played. But yeah, they played some Title Tuesday games, which are usually not too interesting. Usually like just a short draw.
Yeah.
But this is the first serious event they're playing. Yeah, which is it's going to be an interesting match. What can you say?
Let's talk odds. I think we kind of hinted at Magnus having a pretty big lead, according to the stats, according to pretty much every other pundit out there. What would you put Magnus at in terms of chances to win?
90-95, I would say. Normally, yeah, 90-95. That seems about fair. Of course, anything can happen. It's not like Hans is incapable of winning. But he is seriously outmatched in every time control and every metric that you would possibly go by. And he's only lost 2 matches, I think, in history in this format. One to Hikaru, one to Maxime. Now you could argue Hans beat Maxime, so why not, right? But yeah, that's still a bit of a stretch, I think. And normally the length of the match is very much in Magnus's favor because it's so long, and he always has a chance to make a comeback. So even if it's not going so well at some moment, we even saw like Maxime was at some point gearing up towards a serious comeback. Just he needs to win the last game, I think, right?
Yes.
Or
yes. No, it against Hans, it was decided in the last game.
I think they were tied, but Hans won the last game. But it was like one of those bullet games that can go either way, you know. So it's I would say the length definitely favors Magnus, and he's just a better player. You can't really argue with that. Of course, Hans is good. He's in form recently. He's playing well, having a lot of good results. But that doesn't change in my view, the general assessment.
Completely agree. I would put it at slightly lower. I would say between 80 and 85% for Magnus, for the simple fact that I'm thinking, and this is not something that he has been impacted by in the past, is the general psychological pressure that comes with any high stakes event. Magnus is one of, if not the best player to deal with pressure in this type of situations. Obviously, this is one of those situations where there's going to be a lot of pressure. You have kind of an unexpected rival, and a rival that he didn't want to see. He has expressed that quite a few times. He didn't want to see Hans in the semifinals. Hans made it against all odds, and right now Magnus has to deal with that. So based on that, maybe some psychological pressure that he did not expect. That's why I'm going to drop him from your 90-95 to my 80-85% favorite to win this one. Nevertheless, it's going to be a fun event. Cool, perfect. All right, I think we got those matches sort of done, sorted out. Now let's talk about the Olympiad. We're not going to have the chance to do a podcast most likely before it starts, though who knows, maybe we'll do some vlogs, maybe not. You're going there on the 9th. I think I'm going there on the 9th as well, if I make my flights in time. I will be there doing in some capacity. I'm not going to reveal that yet, but there will be some capacity for me as well for the Olympiad. But let's talk about favorites, dark horses, things of that nature. Obviously, you will have a slightly biased opinion because
No, I won't. I mean, I
and
understand I'm playing, but
that's fair enough. Yeah, I mean, you guys are the favorites. The US is the
no,
favorites.
I wouldn't even say that we're like the favorites. I mean, we're among the favorites, but I wouldn't say that we're the favorites. So I'm not going to be biased. I mean,
You should
it's
be.
no, I mean, I understand that I'm playing for the US and hopefully we do well. But by rating, okay, India is very close. So we're kind of the favorites by rating, but very close. China is up there, although I think China is unlikely to win, in my view.
Interesting.
But India,
A- a-
and there's,
any reason for that?
I mean, Ding is not in good shape. Wei Yi is in good shape, but Ding is kind of like if we talk about the team, they have like two very top players, Ding and Wei Yi, and then they have one like very strong, close to top player, Yang Yi, and they have like a solid fourth player, but um, a little bit outside the top, let's say.
Yes. Right now it's
But with Ding not
Bukshanji.
informed, they suddenly have one guy who's only like a top player, right?
Yes.
It's Wei Yi. So is that enough? Yeah, it could be enough to win, but now it feels very weird for me to say Ding is not a top player. But if he's not in form, then you kind of have to go with that. Like if he's scoring minus in most tournaments he plays in, then maybe we estimate his strength of these days around 27-20 or so. I don't think that's unfair, actually, just based on like this year and last year's performances. And then we have like Wei Yi as by far the strongest player on the team, which again is a bit funny to say, but these things change, right? Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
Wei Yi has been very strong in Vikings, very strong in um, the Poland Rapid and Blitz tournament, Warsaw, very strong in this Chinese Rapid tournament, which he won ahead of Ding and others. So again, like without Ding being in form, if he is, then I think they have a very good chance. Without that, then I don't think they have a good chance of first place. But still, they can make medals for sure.
Cool. You guys field yourself, obviously, you will be leading the team. Wesley, Dominguez, Aronian, and Robson on the 5th board. How do you rank your chances? What do you feel your strengths are in comparison to, let's say, India? Let's analyze India and Uzbekistan as well.
Yeah, so I think that with India, we are among the favorites to win, but India is definitely not a team you would rate worse, in my view. So if you go player by player, then like I've been in decent shape in Glasgow recently. Okay, so we'll see if that continues. Um, then we have Lenier, who is always quite solid.
He has been a bit
And
inactive.
yeah, but a bit inactive, that's true. So we don't know 100%, but he's usually pretty reliable. Uh, and we have Wesley, who's usually pretty reliable, but maybe not in the best form lately, so that depends a lot. But he usually plays quite well in the Olympiad. Then we have Levon, who, in my view, is playing better than he was last year. So hopefully that continues. And uh, if he plays well, then he's capable of winning a lot of games on the fourth board. But it of course it's very form dependent.
Yeah.
And then as a reserve, Ray is an excellent reserve, so he'll play some matches and probably have a good result. But yeah, I think it might depend a bit more on the form of, let's say, the fourth board than the reserve board. Yeah, that's usually how it works.
Yeah, and just to kind of let people know, maybe people that haven't been around since 2016, 3 of the 5 players were actually on that 2016 Olympic gold medal winning team. Yourself,
Mhm.
Wesley, who did very well in
And Ray.
that one, and Ray. So you guys have that experience of winning, which is important, and you always want to replicate that as a competitor. So, but you still have that experience, which is highly, highly important.
Yeah.
Erigaisi, Gukesh, Prague, Vidit, Hari Krishna. Let's analyze this one because that's an interesting Indian team.
Yeah, so it's like the top guys on the team are all very young, and then the two lower boards are not, I mean, they're not old, but they're more experienced. So it depends a lot. I think Gukesh will probably be in decent shape because he's definitely doing a lot of prep for the match that he's going to play, the World Championship match, and that prep is probably going to be useful. But who knows? I mean, maybe he'll be a bit distracted. It's hard to say. But I think he'll be in decent shape. Prague, I think, will probably be in pretty good shape and could be very dangerous. And Arjun is maybe their like most dangerous board because he also knows how to beat a lot of the somewhat weaker players, and he's very good at that. So that could be very useful for him and for the team. Then Vida, I think, will do fine. Normally, does well, but he's a bit like he can get shaky if things are not going well. So, and then I think Pantala will be like stable,
A very solid,
but
yes,
but
solid
again, I don't
reserve.
know how much action he'll see if the other guys are in good shape. That's another question.
Do you think they're going to field Erigaisi on first, or they're going
No,
because
I think very unlikely.
you
Yeah,
said that he's very good at beating players in general, and especially lower rated players. You think we're going to see him on like second or third?
I think the wisest would be to put him maybe on fourth board,
Fourth board. Okay. Wow.
third or fourth. Not because he's weaker, but just because he's very good at beating the players who he's a bit superior against. And against the very strong guys, maybe either Prague or Gukesh, who have a lot of recent experience, will be extremely reliable. That could be helpful too. But again, I don't know. I think they could also just do it randomly and it might be fine. Like they could just jumble up the names however they want and any order would work out. Um, because they're all very strong. So, but if I were to do it, I might do something like Gukesh, Prague, Vidit, Arjun, Antala, something like that.
Cool. Let's talk about Uzbekistan as well. Abdusattorov, Sindarov, Yakuboev, Vohidov, and Vahidov. Obviously, not a dark horse team anymore. They're the reigning Olympic champions. They have a new captain, Kramnik, which
Mm.
is kind of, let's say, a surprise, but Sokolov, who led them to winning the Olympics, was commissioned, let's say, or hired by the Romanian Chess Federation for quite a while now, for a few years. So I would assume he's been leading that project. If you might be wondering why is Sokolov not the captain anymore after winning an Olympic team, I would assume he got a pretty good offer from the Romanian federation. But now we have Kramnik, who's who's active on Twitter, uh, maybe getting some good coaching on the side as well. What do you think of this team?
Yeah, it's a good team for sure. I mean, Noterbeck, it's one of those teams that like I think they could do very well or they could do actually quite poorly. It's not a given that they'll do well because it's not like you have completely established on all boards. Like a lot of the boards are very dangerous. You know, Yakubo, for example, is like a 2670 player, but he's not really established. And Sindarov also like 2680 90 player. Vakitov are okay. They're still strong, very strong players, but they're not going to be top players. And then you have Noterbeck, who is generally very good. And he could, like, I wouldn't be surprised Noterbeck wins with like +8. Or that he doesn't have such a great result also wouldn't surprise me. I mean, he can be a little bit unpredictable as well. So I don't know. They're definitely going to fight for first, but not like among the biggest favorites in the tournament, let's say. Like I would say a tier below India,
Yeah, a dark
but still
horse,
very dangerous.
but still very
And
very close.
Kramnik is interesting, of course. I mean, he could be very inspiring. Um, I'm trying to remember this a quote from this movie, though. It was like Yeah, I think it was some X-Men movie. It was like for someone who doesn't like mutants, you keep very strange company. And when I think of Krennic these days, I kind of think of that. Like he's uh he's working with Hans sometimes, or I don't know if working, but he's hanging out with Hans a lot. He's training the Uzbek team. It is a bit funny. It's a bit ironic in some sense.
It is indeed. Yeah, should be an interesting one. Cool. All right, we'll leave it at that. Now, let's touch briefly on the women's Olympiad as well. We have India, Georgia, Poland, and I would say the biggest surprise, at least to my eyes, is China not having some of their top players. Ju and Jun is not playing, and I think they're missing somebody else as well. But basically,
Would it
they're
would it be Lei Tingzhe?
Lei Tingzhe.
That'd be
Yes,
possible.
Lei Tingzhe is
I mean,
not
that
playing
would make
also.
sense because they are playing the match.
Aha, very good point. Very
I
good
mean, that
point.
that would make the most sense. Like, I don't know the internal discussions or whatever, but it would make some sense that they like Gukac could have also skipped. It wouldn't be or Ding wouldn't be surprising, but make sense to play a tournament before you play the match.
Yeah, but they're skipping. So they still have a very strong team, by the way. Zhu Jiner, 2487, Lu Miao Yi, who is very young. I think she's 13 or something like that. 24 to
Hmm
38, extremely strong.
hmm
Song Yuxin, international master, and Guo Qi. I'm not very familiar with them, but definitely seem to be very inspired players as well. Who do you see as
And very, very good pronunciation, Christian,
well?
for
Thank you,
sure.
thank you. Who do you see as the favorites? India. Let's take the top four: Georgia, Poland, and China.
Um,
If you want to add somebody else, feel free to do so. But who do you see as favorites?
maybe India.
Dronavali, Vaishali, Divya, Vantika. Divya, by the way, she's the top rated junior girl right now.
Mhm.
And Tanya.
Yeah, it depends what. Like, I mean, Divya, Vaishali, they're like Vaishali had this weird period. Yeah, she was either winning all her games or losing all her games. She had this like stretches of like 5 wins in a row, 5 losses in a row.
At the candidates.
So you have a player like this who can either win all her games or not do well, and it's a bit unpredictable. But India is very very strong. China, yeah, they would be like massive favorites with their full lineup, but okay, they're a little bit weaker than their normal lineup. Still very strong. They can definitely fight for first. Um, Poland, yeah, it's a very established team, right? Poland is reliable. Georgia, obviously, also very reliable, established team.
And they have a big reinforcement. Maltsevskaya, who came from, I believe, Russia,
hmm
who just
hmm
switched recently. She's very young, promising, 20 something year old, 2400, and she switched. Now she's third board for Poland. So definitely some reinforcements, and Kashlinskaya just won the Grand Prix, if I'm not mistaken, the first leg of the women's Grand Prix. So definitely doing well also.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be close, but yeah, maybe I would give a bit of an edge to India. I wouldn't necessarily say a big edge. Yeah, I guess we'll see.
Cool. All right. All right. Yeah, no, I think that's more or less it. Those are the two big events happening in the near future. It's going to be an exciting weekend. I'm going to be traveling to Budapest immediately after the conclusion of the Speed Chess Championship. So I will see you in Budapest in a few days, Fabi. When are you heading out?
The ninth. Well, just like you.
Ninth.
That's, I think, I don't know if it's the official arrival date, but that's when I guess many people are arriving.
Yep.
Ninth, 10th, and then 11th we start playing, right? That's as far as I understand the schedule.
10th is the opening ceremony. I guess I'll probably see you there or maybe on the ninth. And then, yeah, it's game time.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot wait.
Yeah,
All
should be
right.
fun.
All right, Fabi,
All right.
good chatting. See you soon. And
All right. See you soon.
yeah, let us know in the comments, guys, Who do you think is going to win tomorrow or today, depending on when this podcast will be posted? Who do you see as the winners coming out of the weekend? And who do you see as the winners coming out of the Olympic Games, the chess Olympiad, as they call it sometimes? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget, like, subscribe, and all the good stuff. Support the channel, and we will see you guys in the next episode. Cheers.